So welcome to this new video of Smode, and this time I will try to review the blur modifier. So it's quite a huge topic, and well, I see if I can cover it all quickly, but if you have any questions then you can feel free to ask in the comments. So let's use the blur modifier. So here you see lots of presets of the blur, and let's start with the basic default blur, which is a Gaussian blur. So the parameters you can see inside the blur parameter are first the intensity, which is the intensity of the blur, the radius, which is the size of the blur, the shape of the blur, if I choose Gaussian or zoom or spin blur or directional, and each kind of blur has its own parameters, its own properties, ring, an hexagonal, box blur. And let's leave that to Gaussian for now. And then the quality budget. What you have here is basically the quality of the blur versus its how to say, keep it fast. That I mean. And so if I lower the budget, the composition will run more smoothly. And if I augment it, the blur will be looking better, and obviously things will slow down. So if I put that to 1, then you can see more or less what this budget stuff is doing. And here's a perfect number, means that if I'm going up to 372, then I have a perfectly calculated blur, and I don't need to augment the samples of the quality budget, because it will just slow down the whole thing without serving any purpose. Let's keep it at 220. Then you have the downsampling. So by default, the more you have a wide blur, and the more you can see the downsampling going up and up and up, which means down and down and down. And this is the meaning of this is basically Smode is using sample of the input image and using it to scatter the pixel and doing the blur. And when you have a large blur, then it's become way more easy to calculate, and so the samples Smode will use will be downsamples, which means it will use samples right now from 1 to 8 the resolution of the original image. So if you want to keep a perfectly shaped blur, you have to leave that to 1, but beware that your composition may run a little bit slower. Then the quality type is basically the depth of each pixel. So right now it's in HDR 16 bits, so it's perfect like that. Let's not change it. Then luminosity threshold, it will just allow me to apply only the blur in the lightest part of the image. Aggregator type, by default it's average. I can use it as alpha choker, and then if I change the luminosity threshold, it will have an effect also on my image. Then the gamma, highlights, maximum, minimum. And if you see those three last values, highlight, maximum and minimum, then you can see some artifact appearing here, and this is because in this aggregator modes, then the quality budget required it's difficult to pronounce, required must be more elevated. And so let's switch again, maximum, highlight, minimum. And then you have a blending mode with input. By default it's replace, which means that this blur modifier replace my input image, but I can put that in normal, and then if I change the luminosity threshold, it will just put the blur on the lightest part of my image. Let's put that back on to 0, and then I can put any blending mode, so I can multiply my blur over my image, or more interesting, put that in lighten or in screen. And this will allow me to do some kind of, let's put that back in average, some kind of glow effect. So let's diminish it a little bit. Alright, and one thing that can help me in this wheel to create bloom or glow effect is the output luminosity here, that I can switch to give more or less luminosity to my blur. So to create a glow, this can be a nice technique. So let's put that blur back to its default value, and let's go a little further in the demonstration. I will keep the downsampling up to 1. Then we have this last options, which is here the custom shape, and this is the most interesting part in the blur modifier. So let's use it. What the custom blur do is actually not changing my original blur. So I was in a Gaussian, so he create me this algorithm bricks that allow me to do a Gaussian blur. And what it does, it's decomposed every step of what he used to create a blur. So for instance, in this case, to create a Gaussian blur, it's actually 2 directional blur set up at 0 and 19 degrees, and which parametered with a Gaussian curve. So let's change a little bit of the setup here so that we can see what's going to happen. I will change the aggregator with maximum and change a little bit the quality budget. So it's basically what is looking like my Gaussian blur with these 2 directional. And now if I change my curves, the curves of my directional blur from Gaussian to linear, and let's deactivate this one. So now I have basically a directional blur, and let's see if I can make you understand what this curve are. So here is what's happening when I'm enlarging the radius of my blur, and each sample is currently driven one away from the other, following a linear direction, linear curve. Let's put that back to Gaussian, and then you see what happened here. And let's put that into box, and then into box you have an interesting effect. If I reduce the size of my blur, now basically all the pixels, all the samples will shift following this now box shape, which is basically same value, same value, same value, same value on each sample. So now let's reactivate the second directional blur and put it into box also. And now what I've currently done is transform my Gaussian blur into a box blur, doing this simple stuff, which is changing the 2 directional from Gaussian to box functions. And now let's reduce a little bit the budget, so we see what's happening. And what can be done also, it's use either the horizontal or vertical directional blur that I'm using currently to create my new box blur, and change the scale of the horizontal, and so I can do a rectangular blur. Or if I change a little bit the direction, I can create a diagonal blur, and you see that I start to have some interesting stuff happening. And what we can do also, it's, let's change the radius a little bit. Alright, let's put that back into 0, and what I can do also is change the algorithm controlling this blur. Can also add directional, another directional in another direction before doing what I was going to do. And now I have a hexagonal blur. Let's add another one. And now I have an octagonal blur, not well shaped, but you understand the thing I'm trying to do here. Well, now I have my box blur, which is made by 2 directional blur. And right now what's happening is I have a multipass blur. So first it will calculate this first blur and then this one. And now I will change this algorithm from multipass to combine. Now what's happening is that now, as you see in the icon here, it changed from 1 to 1 to 1 plus 1. So now I'm calculating the 2 blur together, so that's how you create cross blur. And if I add another directional and put that into 45 degrees, then I can start to create a star blur. And of course, if I augment the quality budget, put that back into average and in additive mode, then we can start to create highlight, maybe better. Yeah, highlight is better. You can start to create star glow. So it needs a little bit more settings, but you understand the thing. Let's keep that in highlight and put that back into replace mode and go back into our little algorithm. And so now the directional, I will put it back in into the directional blur, their shape type from box to Gaussian, what we had in the first place, and see what's happening. Alright, and so now as I'm in a combine mode, the only difference from before is just that now the sample are going one apart the other, following this new Gaussian curve. And then you have other kind of blur, and I will stop here because it's already a long tutorial, which is a map blur. And so what is doing this map blur is using a noise, this noise, to change the direction of the blur. And of course, inside the map blur, you can use noise mask, but you can also use layer mask. And so inside this layer mask, what I'm going to put is device, activate the video input layer, and change that into video input. And so what you are seeing here, it's currently my face deforming the image using a map blur. So that's all for today. I didn't cover everything of the blur, but you have already some stuff to start exploring this blur. And and also you can use inside the blur these different setups, and to see then how they are made. So hope that it had been useful, and see you next time.